Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nightlight. My name is Tom Snarski, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this is our 26th Nightlight poetry reading event. It's our alphabet number today, and I couldn't be happier to be joining this group of wonderful readers, the folks who are live in our Zoom room with us, and also if you're watching from the future on YouTube, hello and thank you. Tonight, we are going to hear really wonderful work from five readers, Erika Gill, Michael Washington, Holli Carrell, Benjamin Niespodziany, and Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi are all here, and I'm so excited to hear each of them read in just a few moments. In case you haven't listened to them before, Nightlight is a reading series featuring poets and writers in a monthly Zoom. It's usually on the third Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're on social media in a couple places at Nightlight Poems on Twitter and night_light_poems_ on Instagram, where we'll hype up our readings. Thank you for responding to the Zoom link posts and the posters that are there if you're here joining us live right now. We'll also post our recording of the event via YouTube after this all goes up. So I'll probably post that sometime tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really excited. This is like always a highlight of the week when it happens, and it's especially a highlight of this season as fall is here and we're starting to get to enjoy these like cozy evenings of poetry. I got my coffee right here. I'm sure a cat will come join in a few moments, but until they do, I'm going to get things rolling right away by introducing our very, very first reader of the evening, someone I'm very, very happy to have on the series in Erika Gill. Erika Gill, they, them, lives on unceded Cheyenne, Ute, and Arapaho and Seven Fires Council land in Denver. Erika is editor-in-chief of Alternative Milk magazine. Their poetry appears in Rigorous, Moria, Bee Stung, and others. Their debut collection of poetry, Lone Yellow Flower, is available now from Corinthia Press, and Erika's here to share some poems with us. Thank you so much, Erika, and excited to hear what you're going to share.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me. Um, I guess I'll just jump right in. Um, I had an order to these, but it doesn't really matter at this point. This poem is in my book Lone Yellow Flower, which was came out in April from Corinthia Press. This poem is called The Rats of Notre Dame. Um, yeah. Squeaks and scampers accompany the night music of the cathedral, exhausted from the weekend trample of thousands of tourist feet. Gray bodies skitter sleek through the night, and I try not to sigh again and contain in my chest the outburst forming like a storm cloud accumulates. He tells me in words accented that allure me that there are few stray cats in Paris, but points out Jupiter, or maybe Saturn, and shows me how to tell by the steadiness of light if we are looking at a star or planet. I always assume they are airplanes, I say, and sip from my bottle of water, not wine, and wish we had spent each the night of the past week wandering together along the Seine. The water, a glossy satin ribbon in the dark, beckons me. Oh my God, cat. Beckons me to descend the stone steps in the quay and surrender my body to the embrace of an ancient city. The ache of 3 hours of walking on cobbles didn't diminish my desire to stay, the petulant sadness of soon coming departure dug claws into my chest and pricked my eyes. I looked so hard at the Haussmann architecture, gilded softly in the mellow amber of streetlights, I thought I might crack the stone. And with each inhale, I hoped my lungs would retain the mass of non-oxygen molecules and become heavy, immovable. He would probably point out that such a thing would be fatal, and I would agree, inclined to be maudlin and absurd in this final midnight in my own placid, unintelligible heaven. Paris loved me back. Maybe he would not have. Maybe it is best I wasn't impulsive and foolish and didn't try to stay. But my pulse warmed my veins as he kissed me solemnly on each cheek and then was gone. Um, this one is called Field Log Denver 10 May. By the 10th of May, the Denver trees have begun to bloom and leaf, and it is green. So green, I laugh elated. Some things I have seen. Flowers of six shades, an alien, poppy in bloom, translucent hairs cover the stalk and pod, its neighboring flower a violent red. A swarm of black flies, bearded irises, proud spikes thrust into the air, a beetle on its back. Someone I dislike has written fuck Earth on the pavement, and had it been me, it would have said fuck Earth reverently, the way lovers do. Um, I skipped one. So this one is called When We Are All Drowning. I wrote this poem a really long time ago, but I think it's still pretty relevant, unfortunately. When we are all drowning, these tasks will cease to matter, submerged, dissolved into acidic slurry, and I will miss sliding my fingers along your hair and the clean sky. When we are all asphyxiated, I will no longer care to look in mirrors, your empty pockets immaterial. I'll have plucked the final leaf from the last wilting plant as it returns to the earth. She is calling us, ringing a dinner bell, a klaxon, inaudible. If they have their way, our bodies will never stop moving, never to alight gently one last petal to rest. I'm going to read one more from the book, and then I'm going to read some new shit. um, this one is called If It Comes. If it comes, let it come. Let it float, nebulous, into safe space. Make a mooring, or don't. Let it, is all I'm saying. Control is an illusion. Weighted blanket, suffocation, imagination stuck on two scenes. Let it grow, change, die. Let it die. Release it to death, as you will one day release yourself, as you have with others, fingers forced open, all that is dropped to the floor, forgotten. Let it fall if it must fall, and believe me that it must. It must fall. It is the rule of empires that endings are beginnings. Destruction can be beautiful. Beauty can break you. Your oft broken heart set free with the knowledge that beauty holds so little value in the true course of things. Um, thank you. Um, Whenever I read, I see the chat going and I'm like, I can't do both. Um, so this one is called Fruit Flies. It's after the song Fruit Fly by Nada Surf. We sit at the bar and discuss the life cycle of Drosophila melanogaster, the common fruit fly, the infestation of which plagues our workplace, specks flying blindly into our faces regularly. They were the first animal launched into space in 1947. I kill them often. When the Volta comes, we are not ready. Much like food in a plastic bag, I feel thrown away. Our friendship not strong enough to withstand your lies. Your silence not strong enough to withstand my anger. I miss the camaraderie, but not the 3 a.m. phone calls, your self-centered histrionics, the same 5 stories of trauma worn thin with constant liquor-soaked, slurred retellings. Drosophila means dew lover, melanogaster, black-bellied. In a sequence of dreams, my hands encircled your neck, a violence I do not possess. Even in my unconscious mind, I never meant to hurt you, and the third dream brought kindness back into this mix. 5 months not speaking, 20 generations of fruit flies. Oh no, you make your own mistakes. I cannot bring them back to you. Um, uh, uh, um, 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 how am I doing on time? Like, I didn't see when I started. Good? Okay. I'll read like 2 more. Um, this one, sorry, my computer loads really slowly when I'm on Zoom. Um, this one is called Ghazal for New York City. Um, I was in New York for my birthday this year in July. Uh, Ghazal for New York City. I haven't finished mourning the future I believed we were constructing when your ghost follows me through the city streets and subway lines. Upward stare at the pinkish paint flanking from the metal beam overhead, The overgrown verdancy of the vines along the station wall fills me. In Central Park, I melt slowly by stages into a frozen strawberry lemonade. Outside of strawberry fields, a sudden void scoops my soul into concavity. I'm the black ant crawling in the white hibiscus flower in Prospect Park. I'm the fat rat crawling in the cement cracks in the Park Slope station. Smoking in the West Village, I spot the crepe place I traveled to 10 years ago, right across the street from the bar where a man said a slur to my face. Have I become lost willingly in the concrete jungle where dreams are made? Empty myself, my last cigarette, my patience as the world's best wingman. It's not about being feminine, it's about being a dirty little bitch, they say. The chord it strikes resonates through the following weeks, wards you away. I claim this city for myself and exorcise you from all that remains sordid in my heart full of dirt, sewage, garbage and exhaust, but most of all, hope. Um, this is my last one. Um, Slow Computer Crew. This one is called Your Server Will Be Right With You. I work in a restaurant, so I'm sorry if this is triggering for anyone. Your server will be right with you. Your server is exhausted. Your server is a formless void. Your server rejects the concept of gender. My name is Erica. I'll be your server. Can I get any drinks started for you? For the love of God, please ask me now. Diet Coke, I'll see you in a few minutes. It's a long, pensive trudge to the soda machine, and you're likely to have several, so I have a new task each time I return. Your food will be right out. I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. You ordered a well-done burger. Please exercise patience. There are 5 tickets ahead of you, and I am so, so tired. Let me curl up on your fur coat and take a little sleep. Maybe big, maybe forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. The well done burger of patience. That is the temporality of the poem right there. And that was Erika Gill, card-carrying member of the Slow Computer Crew, along with me and some other folks who like that in the Zoom chat. Again, Erica, you can find them on social media at Invariably So, INVARIABLYSO, on all the different social media platforms, and definitely consider checking out their debut collection of poetry, Lone Yellow Flower, which is available now from Currencia Press, great friend of Nightlight. Marvelous. What a beautiful start. Yeah. Fuck Earth. Fuck period Earth period as the chat. Fuck Earth with an exclamation point, in fact, in the chat now. What a great way to segue us into this wonderful evening of poetry. And I'm very excited to keep things rolling by introducing our next reader, joining us all the way from Spokane, Washington, Michael Washington. Michael Washington is a writer who also likes to draw. His work has appeared in a variety of places, including Spectra Poets, Hobart, Had, Expat, and Maudlin House. He lives in isolation on a mountain just outside of Spokane. Mountain Crew as well, representing tonight. Michael, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm really excited to hear what you're going to read.
Thank you so much, Tom, for inviting me. It's such an honor to be reading alongside these incredible poets tonight. And boy, it's going to be hard to follow Erica, but I'll try. And hopefully my Wi-Fi continues working for at least 10 more minutes. But if not, I can join on my phone, I think. Uh, uh, anyway, I'm going to read poems tonight. The very first one and the very last one, neither of those have been published yet, so you guys get to hear some new shit. And I'm just gonna get started. The first one's called Sally Gardner at a Gallop. Like I said, it's new, sort of a work in progress. I held your hand in the dark, wig-wagging between the poles of outer space and Hollywood. Where am I asked. Here, you said, tending to one extreme, close up of the black hole where my face used to be. A small gun made a big bang, but the boom was in the shot. We'd made our big screen debut together on the Jumbotron Kiss Cam. The limelight eclipsed the sun. We took refuge from paparazzi in the interactive DVD menu of violent domesticity. I took up drowning as a hobby, but the ocean spat me out. With the speed of a whip pan, I did the butterfly stroke across the sweat pooling in the space between my palm and the prop gun's polymer grip. Was it too much to ask for both an Academy Award and a Golden Raspberry, the wave and the particle? I could not keep pretend to miss stardom, so I staged my own assassination by gunning down my stunt double. Then stumbled back home, lay beside you on our sofa, and kissed you one last time on the hand before it melted in the all-confusing heat, death of the universe. And now I'm gonna read some old shit. This one is called, I'm gonna read Sad Boy Mode Activated. Time for me to do what I do best. Relapse on drugs and alcohol. Reinstall Muse Simulator 8. Click Create New Character and write the worst poem ever. I don't know how to make stuff without him here to inspire me. So I go ask ChatGPT, what's another way of saying I can't think of another way of saying I don't know how to make stuff without him here to inspire me. But my phone literally blows up, destroying every last, never-lasting piece of evidence that he ever even existed. Which makes this a whole lot harder because now I'm too drunk and high to remember what he looked like. When I try to picture him, all I see is error, user not found. It takes me 1,000 hours just to get the left half of his Cupid's bow right, during which time I gobble up so many of these baby blue black market downers that my blood starts to dream about me, falling from my fourth floor window onto a welcome mat made of metal spikes, releasing it, my blood, back into the wild again where it can breathe clean air. I'm almost finished though. 3 freckles, 2 freckles, 1 freckle to go. Then there he is, as sexy as ever, and backlit by God rays, coming to life at 12 frames per second like a stop-motion Galatea. And am I crazy, or is that his voice I hear? Considering what he said last time, I turned the speakers all the way down and the brightness all the way up, while pulling the monitor closer and closer and closer to the lips I haven't stopped OCDly peeling off ever since he left me for his 60-year-old cousin. Outside, the stars are pixels, and the night sky is a screensaver, and the buildings are computer towers, and each person is a virus. And speaking of old shit, this next one, it was actually the first poem of mine that was ever published. It appeared on Spectra Poets like early last year, and it's called Dawn Moon and Tumbling Snow. A fully functional samurai sword is what you asked for your birthday. It seems like everything that exists, everything that has existed, and everything that will exist is turning 30 this year. It seems like only yesterday you and I were playing Marco Polo in the primordial ooze, world building in parallel and orbiting each other forever, always already almost old friends. But that was 15 years ago. 15 years after God created everything from nothing, just so that we could meet then. Then hid behind a giant storm cloud where he still waits for us to meet again, biting his fingernails while watching me slice my hands open while wrapping your katana in a brand new skin I made out of a blood-stained map of Eden. Um, and this next one I think of almost like like a piece of flash fiction inside a poem. Um, the middle stanza, if you want to call it that, is one long sentence. So excuse me if I run out of breath. It's called Wouldn't That Be Funny? He, he, he. He, 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 he. What's the matter? I'm just kidding. Lighten, loosen. Up here, poised on top of a mountain of recycled material that looms over the sidewalk like an unresolved argument, I'm trying to make you laugh by saying, I'm trying to make you laugh, exactly how Ethan Hawke said it in a movie whose name I don't remember. But you can't hear me and I have to go clucking for work soon, so as a last resort, I put on a pair of Groucho glasses, get in a foam-filled sumo suit, do a somersault off the mountain summit, close my eyes, and think back to that warm August morning down there on Hester Street when we, while making hamburger helper for breakfast, watched as condensation formed on the outside of the over-the-range microwave and appeared to sweat from the pores of our oily fingerprints, then trickled back down into the skillet of boiling water below it, which made the so-called beef stroganoff taste like whatever the gustatory equivalent of accidentally brushing one's hand against someone else's is. And we ate it without saying a word until, right as I opened my mouth to take one last bite, you broke the silence by breaking into an impression of Julie Delpy breaking into an impression of Nina Simone, just in time for the sun to shine on the turf burns all over your hairy quarterback arms. And it was in that moment I discovered a new type of laughter, neither a drop of white wine into the Danube Canal nor a gunshot through the roof of my mouth, but something in between, an unpronounceable and unspellable sound that I've spent the better part of the worst year of my life hoping to hear again. But don't worry, I won't stop until I make you laugh so hard your face hurts at least half as much as mine did as it bounced off our concrete apartment building and exploded upon impact with the pavement. And besides, I never found anything else worth living for, did I? Say that. For my graveyard.
I think Michael has done the impossible, which is that he has read a poem into the internet so strong that the internet couldn't hold it.
Sorry
And
about
are you
that.
back?
I'm
Yeah,
back.
you broke the internet in a good way. Keep going. I'm gonna mute myself.
Um, where was I?
I think you had just finished the sentence in the,
Okay.
but I don't think we got the end, or I didn't. So pick up where you want to pick up, because that was lame.
Of was I still reading the Wouldn't That Be Funny? He. I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were
Hold
like, this is
on.
going to be a sentence. And then Zoom was like, yeah, no, I don't got that.
Let me open that back up then. Um, I'll just start from the maybe middle of that sentence. Um, in medias res. Uh, all right. We watched as condensation formed on the outside of the over-the-range microwave and appeared to sweat from the pores of our oily fingerprints, then trickled back down into the skillet of boiling water below it, which made the so-called beef stroganoff taste like whatever the gustatory equivalent of accidentally brushing one's hand against someone else's is. and we ate it without saying a word until, right as I opened my mouth to take one last bite, you broke the silence by breaking into an impression of Julie Delpy, breaking into an impression of Nina Simone, just in time for the sun to shine on the turf burns all over your hairy quarterback arms. And it was in that moment I discovered a new type of laughter, neither a drop of white wine into the Danube Canal nor a gunshot through the roof of my mouth, but something in between, an unpronounceable and unspellable sound that I've spent the better part of the worst year of my life hoping to hear again. But don't worry, I won't stop until I make you laugh so hard your face hurts at least half as much as mine did as it bounced off our concrete-clad apartment building and exploded upon impact with the pavement. And besides, I never found anything else worth living for, did I? Say that out loud. Please excuse me. Here's your change, sir. Have a nice day. I get it. All right, just two more. Um, this one is the title for my graveyard shift at the Piggly Wiggly. I don't know what's worse, this writer's block or this constipation. There was once a time when men closed their eyes and pictured my body as naked as a blank page. Now look at me, shuffling out of the stall through the shadow of the valley of twink death with my $200 jeans around my ankles, hot shit leaking out of my crack, licking the back of my grizzled ball sack like a garter snake made of melted jasper. Then there's the sound of my boss barging in, hell-bent on firing me for being 30 seconds late for work. As soon as he finds me squatting over the sink and drenched from performing an ass-backwards baptism, he gouges out his eyes and exchanges them for 2 rotten lemons. But enough about him. I'm still here, trapped between 2 parallel mirrors where I'll take a final selfie to immortalize my mortality. See, there's nothing wrong with wallowing in abjection while walled in by the reflections of 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 infinitely many, incrementally smaller Michael Washingtons, all praying for one thing, a second chance to die young. And something tells me God is trying to tell me something, because nothing says it's time to grow up like saying nothing. All right, and before my Wi-Fi goes out again, I'm gonna read one last poem. It's another unpublished one, so I'll end with some new shit. It's called I've Got Some Good News and Some Bad News. The good news, if a stupid little jellyfish can figure out how to live forever, then so can I. Like a temple to Escher, my blanket fort is folding in on itself. What I mean is, I'd like to start a nuclear war and autograph both sides' bombs. In other words, deep inside my small intestine is an even smaller intestine, which is to say that I once solved every major problem in Western philosophy by falling asleep in the sauna at the Y with the temperature set to 100 million degrees, i.e., maybe I'll paint my bedroom the color of CartoonNetwork.com circa May 2003. Maybe my last thought will be of my first word, nirvana, or maybe not. Will I ever let go of the fear of the process of dying alone? Who cares? The bad news is that Beverly Hills Ninja was taken off Tubi. Thank you.
Nice. That was beautiful, Michael. You broke the internet and you put it back together again, and that's a singular feat. I don't think we've had that on Nightlight before. And no better way, no better time than the present. That was Michael Washington, who you can find on Twitter at Young Hegelian, YUNGHEGELIAN with an underscore at the end, and on Instagram at Young Hegelian with no underscore. We keep that phenomenology on us as we should. Yeah, keep an eye out for those unpublished pieces finding good homes because if you were wowed like I was wowed, we're excited for that. More poems should end with to be, as Ben says in the chat. I agree wholeheartedly. They pay their artists, if I'm not mistaken. So we have gotten to the keystone point in the reading. I'm excited to introduce our middle reader who is going to hold us and keep us going in this beautiful vector of poetry that's happening. I'm really excited to welcome to Nightlight Holli Carrell. Holli Carrell is the author of the debut poetry collection Apostasies, which was selected as the winner of the 2025 Perugia Press Prize. Shout out to Perugia Press. They are doing some really great stuff. Holli's writing has appeared in publications such as Fence, Gulf Coast 32 Poems, Poetry Northwest, and The Journal, among others. She lives in Cincinnati, where she's joining us from right now. Thanks, Holli, for being here. I'm so excited to hear what you're going to share. The floor is yours.
Awesome. I'm so happy to be here. And Erika and Michael, thank you so much for sharing your incredible and brilliant work. It was wonderful to listen to. I'm going to read. Sadly, I don't have any new shit. I wish I did. What was it that Michael said? I don't know what's worse, this writer's block or constipation. That's something I'm feeling right now. No new work for me, but I'm going to be reading some poems from my book, Apostasies. And it's a book kind of about my life in and out of the LDS Mormon Church and about religious control and surveillance, and also about reclaiming selfhood and identity. So I thought I'd start with one of the first poems in the book. And the Joseph that is mentioned in this poem and that kind of haunts this book is Joseph Smith, sort of the manufacturer Mormonism, the religion I was raised in. And Hierophany, the title of the poem is, that means the manifestation of the sacred or holy in ordinary circumstances, such as in an object, place, or event. Hierophany. I memorized Joseph's vision as a girl, repeated delivered from the enemy, like directions home. My mythology, a blonde boy prophet from Vermont, kneeling in a shaded grove, praying for revelation, then instantly receiving gifts. Two embodied beings descending towards him from the sun, blinding over tips of sycamore in twin pillars of light, the Father and his Son. I won't argue over the validity of vision. We've all had visions. We've all cried out in woods. My interests lie in appetites, how desire spoils. I prefer Joseph before his miracle, before he became another chosen holy man, when he was just a broke farm boy digging for buried treasure, his longing sharp as the shovel's tip, but more honest than what came after. I'm so tired of men calling their hunger God, their greed commandment. But this is an American story after all. The next poem I'm going to read is called Jephthah's Daughter, and it's a lesser known story in the biblical canon. Jephthah's Daughter. Your father tenders your life. You yearn simply for tenderness. Nameless daughter, known only as belonging to him. He who grips your loamy little rooted life in his palm, wrenches it, then releases. In myth and scripture, a daughter's slaughter, never slaughter, just strategy to achieve the desired objects of war. You, a holy daughter, made holier. The wood laid, the fire, a knife. Your sacrum set on the altar. I imagine the moment you understand no, angel's voice will break the heavens. No celestial arm holds your father's blade back. Your life and death, trivial as a bowl of red berries, spilling on a wooden table, scattering at his feet. Confession. All my life, I've hungered for a quiet privacy. I must explain this to you. As a girl, I wanted a door deep in the vault of my closet, a child-sized hole only I could crawl through. I tried to hide, but I could not hide because God was always in my mind, listening. Spirited, premortal, in the before life, he spoke to me, they said, and I agreed to his plan, they said, or else I wouldn't be here in this body, they said. The babies, my babies, were waiting their turn. I watched my brothers, pondered if I wanted what they had. I was tired of being a girl, but I didn't want to be a boy either. Did I want nothing? I wanted nothingness, how free. To have a body like river silt, foxglove, smoke. Yes, to be river silt, foxglove, smoke. So this next poem is a poem kind of told from the perspective of a child myself, as I was growing up in a religious community in Utah with zero sexual education. And this one is called The Woman Next Door. The Woman Next Door. God seeded breasts, watered ovaries, and depending on how good or bad you were, put the babies there. God was vengeful. I knew that. The woman next door had 17 children, wild as crows. What had she done to deserve boys who tortured kittens and scrambled eggs on the hot sidewalk? I'd seen her in her bedroom, massive and flowered, pale as yeasted dough before the beam of the television, floundering on her patched up waterbed, her eyes glassed and flat. And I saw myself too, like a pressed dead flower inside the pages of a bed. Each future breast a dropped anchor, and the windows always shut. I watched boys. I knew the lightless spot was not a place to play, where the starved cottonwood bared its rooty teeth, tending to a slush of webs and leaves, near the shadowed murky stream, where mosquitoes bred, and the ruby-fattened females dropped their rafts of eggs before falling to the mossy stones. In that dim, musty spot I hid, watched older boys peel clothes from their bodies. Free at night, they glowed like pale cream. And I knew I shouldn't look at what hung below their bellies in matted swamps of hair. It was ugly. I wasn't surprised. All right, so I think I'll read two more poems. The next one is called Logophobia. I thought I would read it because last week was Banned Books Week, and logophobia means fear of books and words, and it was something that I felt a lot as a child. It wasn't a natural inclination. People made me feel that way. Logophobia. At the pulpit, the apostle warns me of books bound and stitched with evil, deceitful literature with barbed sentences twisted in lies, the papers and pamphlets anti-Mormon and disposed on earth to curse me, red books, brown books, gold glittering thorns. I picture anthrax pages, pustules, highly contagious. If a cover opens, will the devil's breath pour forth? I fear strangers touching me with their words. Books slipped into my hands, sticky lures leading me down to darkness, outer darkness, the hell for devils and heretics, sunk so low, those who defy. But most of all, I do not fear punishment or suffering. I fear an arrival, a coming home. I, infernal, shedding armor, stepping into the cool bath, glistening, anointing myself with oil. And this will be the final poem I'll read. This one is called Lot's Wife. Thank you again for having me here. It's been an honor. I can find it in my book. Where is it? Lot's Wife. I imagine her in the moments before she glances back, furious, sweat slicked and sprinting, ash scattered over her gown and hair, hearing screams of the suffering bleeding behind her, her only possession, a husband's name. I don't believe she looked back in longing for a home that was never hers. Did she understand, quick as thunder's whip, that she could not follow a man who offered her daughters thoughtlessly as water to a throng of thirsty lips, and who honors the terms of a tyrant god? At her back, the heat of the burning city, black smoke, loose golden sparks scalding her skin as she stops. Her neck, the hinge, the bridge from body to mind, the tender place where the pulse beats. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. That was marvelous. Thoughtlessly as water is just like repeating in my head. That was Holli Carrell, who you can find on social media at Holli Carrell, HOLLICARRELL on Instagram. And again, you heard some poems just there from Apostasies, which is now available from Perugia Press. Their website is perugiapress.org, PERUGIAPRESS.org. Just a delight. Thank you so much, Holly, for those marvelous, marvelous poems. We enter now the back half of the reading order, and what a strong back half it is. We are keeping the fence connection alive, which is very exciting. Two writers in a row who have the Fence Books, Fence Mag situation. I'm really excited to welcome back to Nightlight Ben Niespodziany, wonderful poet, editor, and just overall mensch. Benjamin Niespodziany Benjamin Niespodziany's writing has appeared in Fence, Conduit, Fairy Tale Review, Bennington Review, and elsewhere. Along with releasing 2 books, one with OK Donkey and one with X-Ray, he hosts the Neon Night Mic reading series in Chicago and recently launched Pyjama Press. And you're going to hear more of Pyjama Press very soon. You can find more at neonpajamas.com, but right now you can hear Ben read. Ben, thank you so much for being back on Nightlight. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah, it's been so great hearing everyone read, and appreciate Tom for being a steady champion of all poetry every day online excessively, and I love it every day. So appreciate you. I was going to read a really long poem, but it still scares me and it's not ready. So I'm going to read a bunch of little new shit. I kind of did a last minute remix. So a lot of little tiny pieces, a couple lengthier ones. But yeah, a little bit of a rework. Maybe the longer piece will be ready in like a year or 5. This first one is called No One. And it's from this manuscript in progress of kind of just corporations and capitalistic concerns / jokes. No one. No one spends money like the Funyun Company. Their owner, boy, he sure can thrash. And this next one is called Viral, and it's even shorter than the last one. Viral. I caught mom on TikTok dancing like Aunt Janet, wearing her wig. And this next one is called Before, and is after a poem by Mary Ruefle. And I don't remember which poem. It just says after Mary Ruefle. So maybe all of her poems. Before. Long before I was born, the oldest living person asked to be killed on live television. Everyone, including the president, said no. Long after I was born, the oldest living person was still living and still wanting to be killed on live television. And all of us, including the new president, were thinking it through. And this next one is called The Opposite of Fake News. Recent studies suggest endless grief. Recent studies suggest the sun is growing and the ocean is shrinking. Recent studies suggest the evening will no longer be a thing. It will be day and it will be night, no in between. I don't argue with the news. I believe it all to be true. Newscasters, tabloids, tweets, it is all accurate facts if you ask me. So don't ask me. Don't ask me. The people leaving the theater will never return. They have everything they need at home. And this next one is called Dinette Set, inspired by Leonora Carrington. We treat the chained up warthog as our newest dinner table. Pass the ladle of gravy, you tell me. I am delicate in my measurements of care. The warthog is allergic to the broth. It sniffles, but it does not move. And this next one is Untitled, and it is after the poet Barton Smock, who I believe Tom put me onto years ago, and he might be my favorite living poet. I love everything he does. Untitled. I spit up my stomach upon your arrival. Your swamp throws a fit. My sculpture is melting and your sculpture is drying. Neither of us are happy with these results. The devil is just a man growing cold braided wings. And this next one is called Store. It's after the poet Prathna Lore. And I think it's like 9 words, 8 words. Store. The ostrich fits in the suitcase. The snake charmer walks home alone. And this next piece is called Coupon Country. It was published yesterday or 2 days ago over at Bruiser Mag. Shout out Bruiser Mag. Coupon Country. Coupon Country demands an RSVP. The wait can take 8 days. In Coupon Country, the moon is invisible. Bodies rot on the sidewalk. The heat is compared to a laser beam. Coupons lose meaning beneath such a sun. Those who don't make it are hanged from windows, display cases of failure. Coupon Country wants you to not continue, wants you to turn home with hunger in your heart. Poison will one day be appointed king. In Coupon Country, you can find anything, everything at a discounted price. You just have to wait and wait and wait. Notes on the walls, thank you for your patience. Apologize for the blood. The blood, it's everywhere. And this next piece is called Statistics, and it was recently rejected over at the Poetry Foundation. So no shout out to the Poetry Foundation. Statistics. Last night's dream was nothing but me digging a hole, slipping in the hole, and falling down the hole. 98% of magicians incorporate holes into their acts. A recent study suggests less than 2% of magicians insist on dismissing the business of holes. Strangers broke into our home looking for the hole of gold. 5 strangers came in through the window and asked about our hole of hidden riches. 5 men, smelling of sweat, crept in through a hole in the roof and demanded we hand over our gold. In our basement, there is a cave, and in the cave, there is a hole, and in the hole, there is an old man who does not understand humanity. Last night's dream was 98% gold cave and 2% sweat. Magicians broke into our basement of dreams, and we had nothing to give them as gifts. Strange man-made caves act as holes in the second act of the tome. Humanity stands next to me and only understands magic as a basement. A man-made basement, a recent study suggests, is nothing but a dream falling down a hole. The old man spits up pieces of gold and tells me to bury them in the hole. Falling, the report promotes, feels like 98% magic and 2% whole. Our home is an act of slipping. There is humanity in the dig. And I will do two more. This one is called Moon Scrolling or Doom Scrolling on the Moon. And it is 15 points, and each point is like 6 words. Doom Scrolling on the Moon. 1. God browsed for so long his brain bled out of his nose. 2. The micro-influencer wears fur, but upon closer inspection, the messenger sees she is eating tiny fuzzy earrings strung together by flies. 3. Does anyone actually call Chevy the heartbeat of America? I saw that on a commercial. They call it the heartbeat of America. I thought it was very weird. 4. There are many ways to hang a nail, the inspector general insists. $1 in a talk box, a closet full of skulls. 5. God's only loaned coat is being passed around at the massacre. 6. The ozone oozed, it pooled unannounced. It ruined us all. 7. The body blistered, then withered, then popped. 8. I'm stuck in one of those little free libraries. I've read every book. Help. 9. This just in, the evening meteorologist has been pierced by a weather vane. We explain this to our kids, how nothing is promised, and some jobs are hard. 10. The attacked giraffe packs a pillow. The snow globe learns to leap. 11. Motorcycles rifle through the smog. God dons new armor, demanding we refill his mug of mud. 12. Apocalypse yoga is otherwise known as a thick bulletproof glass rectangle in the middle of the war. 13. Please let me see Monster House, a mound of meat, a sink of teeth. 14. We ask the devil for forgiveness as God rinses his hands in lavender bathwater. 15. At the end of the story, the warlord apologizes, not because it didn't have an ending, but because it did. And the piece that I will close with is actually inspired by one of Kiik's poems. I launched a press earlier this year called Pyjama Press, and Kiik is the first and only book that we've released. He's probably going to read from it in like 2 minutes. And he has a poem in here called Home. And the first line is, today we are alive among darkening berries. And I wrote a piece called Townhouse Part 1 and 2. And the first part is yesterday and the next part is tomorrow. So kind of using his poem as like a middle piece. So tomorrow, today, yesterday. And here it is. Townhouses Part 1 and 2. Yesterday, I found you between buffets, and much later, you threw up a whole horse. Life finds a way into our guts, spitting up the salt to stir in our soup. Tall men pack sack lunches before heading to war. The next day for them will be like rainfall. Checkout time is $9.99. Foraging is more important than mining for gold. Every myth the weather insists exists to help us live better lives, personal, universal. As my leg waits to feel the lightning, I promise never will our home catch fire. We won't allow it. We'll swat at it like a goal. Tomorrow, you will catch me under thunder as if yesterday's hog meant nothing to you. Continuing in this way is only healthy if we use a new straw. The insects will eat everything we give them. The hurried furball turns into the world, and so it is we continue to feel awful. Tomorrow, you will be a castle as if yesterday was a stall. Our jaws so loose we stopped using. I guess what I'm trying to say is my origin story is a lot like a bathroom break, painful and short. I throw bones into the sea and watch the sharks froth because of me. Sometime forever, we'll forget our address book at the mall. When we find it, we'll eat our receipts and we will be like skunks. Thank you so much.
Wow, Ben, I just had a smile plastered to my face for that entire set. So thank you, Ben Niespodziany, for being here, for ending us with this, for turning every hour into a skunk hour. Shout out Robert Lowell. That was Ben Niespodziany, who you can find on social media in lots of places at Neon Pajamas, NEONPAJAMAS. And Ben, as you heard, founded Pajama Press, and the wonderful book that you're about to potentially hear some more from, Kiik's book and Pajama Press, are all findable on neonpajamas.com/pajama press, PIZAMAPRESS. And you can find Kiik's book, which you might just hear from in a moment, on asterism. Just a beautiful, beautiful way. And like, I'm always it's always a little bittersweet to introduce the last reader of a nightlight event, but like keeping the good times rolling, I couldn't be happier to be welcoming Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi to Nightlight, continuing this beautiful pajama line that we've got going on. And Kiik's first collection of poems is Disintegration Made Plain and Easy, that you just saw in Ben's set, published by Pajama Press. Kiik, thank you for taking us home tonight. Nobody's doing it like Ben, and you're the only other person who I would say that about. Nobody's doing it like Kiik. Really glad that you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Also, thank you, Ben, for those poems. And I love the idea of the poem being a sort of like, whatever, my poem is somehow sandwiched in between your poems. It's one of the sandwiches where the bread is tastier than what's in between, I think. Anyhow, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nightlight, for hosting us, for dedicating time and energy to putting this event and celebration of poems together. And so we can be thrilled by poems that are being written right now in this era, and we're alive. And thank you, Erika and Michael, Holli, and Ben for reading their phenomenal and inspiring work. And if y'all write poems, you know that sometimes you provide a third person bio. And I've always thought this was so funny because I always felt like I was pretending I wasn't the one writing the bio. And so I have to have this mindset like I'm my own intern or something, writing the bio of a much better and more accomplished writer. But it's me. And who I'm always questioning, like, do I even know how to write anything? And so it's a genre that's funny to me. So I think I'll read a few of these. Most of these poems, they're called About. Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi does not perform often, but when he does, it is an awful performance. We would like him to get out more, or even leave his bedroom, but his bedroom is where pornography is, especially a naked cowboy riding a green tractor. Pricing is customized to your needs. Under normal circumstances, something happens that obligates him to give your money back. Contact for weddings, baptisms, funerals, circumcisions. But please never in that order. His limits may surprise you. As you watch a man die, his foreskin turns to rust. The dust convulsing off a moth's bulb paints the spirit in a thin gold film. About. Did Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi write this? Oh, Lord, no. Lord, he went away on an urgent mallard, hosing down burning orphans. His own biography, like a stalker perched in a tree outside his own window? No, an intern who knew nothing of him asked Jeeves. He was born in Kiik City, Arizona, so this is why. Sheesh, weird fucking name. He was discovered in prison by bees. Those bees held him down and fucked him over and over. Kiik's intern holds degrees in supply chains, bees hostility. She unfurls an enormous rose mallow of gauze. All night the stitches sputter and crystallize, cork of blood sailing past the rivers of salt. All night embalmed in honey. All night the name ignited and dissolved. About. Kiik puts the lotion on its skin, Kiik gets the hose, drinks lotion from the sun, the holy spigot, kneels down again in cut-off shorts, says, "Get the lotion," the hand gripping the base of the hose overhead. The body of water rushes in. Poems appear, but for every appearance, 6 or 7 dissolve in a basin of acid. The hydra appears in her lederhosen, hoses Kiik down with acid. Twins emerge from the residue from ectoplasm, the scorched lights. When the hydra removes her clones, Kiik makes that motherfucker rain. Kiik is the recipient of numerous prizes, almost none of them for poetry, almost all of them for shape-shifting, and a puddle of flesh, of rain, pictured here among a collection of acids. None of this is sexual, of course. If this made you imagine sex, whoa, you failed the test, yeesh, what a pervert. But if you are a pervert, follow this hose to connect with Kiik via chat roulette, down the well, down the butt of rain. If you write your own bio enough times, you go like a little crazy. And you also become self-conscious about how lonely you are. this next poem is about loneliness, I guess. It's called This is Loneliness. Since I could remember water, I've had a fear of a shark attacking me. One fear is the shark eats everything contained in my pants and becomes either too full or sickened to finish, and I must drag myself like a red marker to a teenage lifeguard. The other fear is I am consumed like the head of a corn dog and am forced to discover there is air inside a shark to live. As a teenager, the superpower I always wanted was teleportation. It seemed to me the ability to teleport meant I would never have to be alone with my thoughts. This is loneliness. My elevator carries me 444 years below the ice. I teleport to where I can meet any celebrity I want. They all hate me. Okay, last one. Thank you, friends. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me come and read tonight. I'm honored to get to do it. About Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi's poetry follows a pattern. Every poem is something happening to penis. Either it's bitten by insect and swells and kills him, or a cheetah runs off with it to feed her cubs. The cheetah cubs speak English. They say, yuck, okay, I'll eat the broccoli. Where does Kiik live? So much wildlife has access to weenus. Why isn't he wearing any underwear around these creatures? The paramedics all know him by name. Why haven't they said, move away, motherfucker? Kiik needs to stop all poetry activities and start making grocery lists for glue, for underwear, for a pointy defensive weapon. I mean, I am not a scientist, but it all just sounds way too much detachable for reality. I don't want to call him a liar, but who reading this isn't asking themselves, wouldn't I be better off reading any other words right now? Maybe Willem Dafoe's Wikipedia page? Maybe some baby birds blasting through the glistening ectoplasm of egg birth? Maybe a horned beetle sleeping in a little wisp of moss? Maybe the expired leaf, that drifting, empty envelope, taking its place atop the carrion of spoils, feast of 10 trillion dissolving leaf, rhymed with leaf. Yeah, thank you.
Ah, thank you so much, Kiik, for those marvelous poems. The smile continues. That was, yeah, right. Pat says in the chat, I'm like a kid giggling over here, and I was doing the same thing. That was Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi. You can find Willem Dafoe's Wikipedia page on Wikipedia /Willem_Dafoe, but you could also find Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi's book at, again, asterismbooks.com and search Disintegration, Made Plain and Easy from Pajama Press. Kiik, in addition to being a wonderful poet, is also, if you're a listener to Another Fucking Writing podcast, you might also know that Kiik is a novelist and fiction writer. So Kiik is also on the editorial board at Fiction Collective too, and they are currently running book contests for folks who write innovative fiction. So you can check that out at fc2.org/2020 innovative submissions. And yeah, just Disintegration Made Plain and Easy. I think you just heard from it, and it was really fucking good. So that brings us to the close of our reading. Again, it's always a little sad to get to this point, but my soul and my ears and my, whatever muscle is responsible for laughing and smiling, have all been enriched by this evening. So I really appreciate, thank you so much, excuse me, Erika, Michael, Holly, Ben, and Kiik for being here. This is really beautiful. Thank you so much to each of our readers for sharing their work. It's really, truly special, and I appreciate it anew every time. Also, thank you for being here. If you're joining us live in the Zoom chat, the vibes are immaculate always. We really appreciate the active Zoom chat and the group of folks who might be, if you're watching this from the future on YouTube, thank you. That means a lot as well. I really appreciate you finding the time to give an hour and change to poetry today. We have another reading coming up on November 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you can join us for that one, that would be really rad as well. And last but not least, we always try to end Nightlight with a poem. So I'm going to read one that has been in my head this week. This is from this really wonderful book, which I have no idea if it's going to show up or not. It's called Say Fire from Archipelago Books by Selma Asatich. And I'm going to read this poem that I posted from this book earlier this week. It's called Monologue for a Second Date. Monologue for a Second Date. Mostly I stare at the ceiling and think about how much I don't want to die. I have a head. In my head is a circle farm. A woman waves from a burning roof. There's also falling from sixth floor balconies, windshields, suicide bombers, stairs, my eyeball smeared against the windshield, safety pins, shawls caught in car wheels, knots, snowdrops. I have a head. In my head is a stomach full of butterflies. The butterflies are often sharks and they want out. I let them out. They trip on a threshold and smash their teeth. I have a head. Inside is a living room. A suicide bomber's watching syndicated comedy. My head plays only reruns, cleaner ads, wet floors, skulls cracked open. Nothing after that. All dark, all air chastising its emptiness into the thought of you. I squeeze my eyeballs shut and think of you. I think of you in as many ways as the rains fall.